dear. All right, here we go. So this is going to be a story about one of Mick's first dogs. His name was Tobin,
Well, he
and
was a black wolf.
yep, so not complete dog, part wolf.
I think he was a lot of wolves, a lot of wolves. And there's a painting of him up on the wall.
I'm going to get the pictures of them, and we're done.
And I lived at the time I lived in Bothell, and I'd been up in the Pasayten Wilderness wandering around with my pack burros for about a month and a half, and I came back home, and I decided I wanted some property, so I came over to a town over here down the road about 15 miles away, where there was a real estate office, and got a real estate guy to show me property, and he showed me a lot of property, and showed me this piece of land here. It was forest land, and nothing had been cut for years. A lot of huge big trees on it, and it was 7.25 acres. And so I liked it. That was in September of 1977. So I bought the property from the logger that owned this land. And in 78, a friend of mine, that was a builder, came out here, brought his transom out, and I had a nice compass that we could use. And we shot the property line and put stakes in so I'd know where the property line was, which was the best thing I ever did. And I started hunting around for a place to build. And there was a clearing out here alongside of where, a little bit of a clearing about maybe 50 foot square. So I had a canvas lean-to that I got from a neighbor. And I put the canvas lean-to up, and Tobin and I lived in the canvas lean-to while I was looking for a place to build my cabin. And I found the place where I built my first cabin, and the brush was so thick in here, so much vine maple and dogwood and stuff, you walk out and you turn around, you couldn't find your way back again. So I cleared enough ground. That was in 1978. At the time I worked in a bakery, I had 5 weeks paid vacation every year. So I took my 5 weeks and I came over here and cleared a spot and started. They were doing some logging about a mile away from where my property is. And they were just clear cutting everything. They just cut everything down, left nothing, just cut it all down, all the small trees, they just left them lay. So I started with my pickup truck with a winch and an A-frame in the back, started pulling these logs back down here where I wanted to build this first cabin. And I built a first cabin which is 25 foot square out of logs. I notched it together with an axe and got it all got the whole cabin finished, but I hadn't got the doors and windows or the floor put in yet. And by that time, winter came. And by that time, I was living in a tar paper shack that I built out here. And Tobin and I lived in there. And I went back over because I was still working in 78. I was still working, so I went back over to Seattle and spent the winter with my folks. Came back here in the springtime, and that was 1978 or 1979 in the springtime, and put the doors and windows in and the floor in that first cabin, and brought all my stuff over here all my tools and stoves and everything, and so I had to go back to work. So I brought old Tobin and me, went back to work. And where I worked, I was the foreman of the bread and pastry department. And it was Van Camp's, Holland Dutch Bakeries, which is no longer in business. And they had been bugging me to be plant superintendent, and I did not want the job because there was paperwork to do. And I do not do paperwork. I can't read very good, I can't write very good, I can't spell anything that's got more than 4 letters in it. And so I quit. It was the 6th of July in 1979. I quit working. I'd been working there for 23 years. And I moved over here full time. So, and then I was looking for a place to clear this piece of ground where this cabin, my second cabin, is, and started building a foundation. Borrowed an old little cement mixer from a friend and mixed cement and poured 15 cement pads that are 8 inches thick and 3 foot square, and built the foundation for this cabin and got it all done. And so I took a big pail of half creosote and half used motor oil and heated it up and painted all the logs that I had down, foundation logs. Put 3 coats of oil and creosote on them so it would last, because I wasn't going to be able to finish building this cabin for a couple of years. And I wanted to preserve this foundation that I'd built. And that's how I got this cabin started. After I lived in the barn and started clearing land and put in a big garden, and got an old Volkswagen bus that had double doors on the side. So I dug a hole and buried this bus for a root cellar and put all my vegetables in there. It was a good life, I'll tell you. Really lived it. There was nobody, when I first moved out here in 77 or 78, there wasn't another house or anything within about 2 miles of me. And my address, I can't give you the address, but it was a general delivery, and you had to find your way. I know in 1980, the census takers were coming around trying to take the census, and that census taker wandered around out here in the woods for a couple of months and never could find me.
It's the way we like it.
Yes, love it.
I'm going to pause this one, Mick.
Okay.